the project I have been doing for several years. And this project really evolved. In the beginning, it was just 2 weeks orientations and whatnot, but then it turned into a course, which I'm going to talk about why I created a course. But this, I'm very happy to be here because I used to run the Digital Stream conference. I don't know, some of you have heard about that. Maybe not anymore. Maybe Jeff, you know that. So that was, I don't know. I ran for 10 years, and then after that, I took a sabbaticals, and the Digital Stream took the sabbatical forever. So, and then there's some of the, I think some years, I think we worked together with this organization. So this is a very special organization to me. And then I'm kind of really enjoying this kind of learning environment, sharing environment. And that's kind of, we called the excitement I had when I was running the Digital Streaming Conference. I guess I like really the emerging technologies and experiment in that kind of excitement. So let's see. Now, just want to get some ideas. Who are tech coordinator or a director of a lab or a tech support person in here? Okay. All right. How about the language instructor, professor, instructors? Okay. And then the business people. Any administrators? Okay. You do. Oh, supervisor. Perfect. Okay, great. How do we involve with the study abroad program? Do you involve a lot? Okay, Carissa, probably you do.
I take students
yeah.
in Florence, but I teach there in English.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, okay. And your program probably send your students to study abroad program, right? And that's what I started to involve with this project. Giving the background, this campus is such a beautiful campus. I'm really enjoying this beautiful campus. My campus is a very young university. It's founded in 1995, and you can see the President Bill Clinton and the former Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta came to celebrate our opening of the campus. And that was about 20 years ago, and that's the time I arrived to CSUMB from Austin, Texas. Yeah, to build a new universities. I didn't know anything about building a new university. That was a hard work. You have to do everything from the scratch. So, but it was a very good learning experience. So the CSUMB is known as outcome-based institution. We are committed to the outcome-based. And everything is outcomes. Even like when we get some sort of grant, even smaller grant or any meeting, they say, what is the deliverable? What is the outcomes? So our university was built with the CSUMB vision, which is very nice, and the core values. And these all outcome, institutional learning outcome, this one actually was developed very last years, okay? And then general education learning outcome, each like a general education component, math, science, language, whole other bunch of things, but each area have learning outcomes. And then the world language and the cultures, our university requires 3 semesters of language requirement for all students. And used to be 4 semesters, but we lost the battle, and then but we're still keeping 3 semesters. So that language also requirement has learning outcomes. And then also major program has learning outcomes. And of course, each course has outcomes for the course. And then that translates into course syllabus and learning tasks. So all of these learning tasks, whatever we do in a language classroom, is going to meet the course outcome. and that course may come related to the either general education language requirement or major learning outcomes, which really helps us, teachers and staff, to design, what we need to focus. Because we want to teach everything, but we have to limit. We have to choose. So it really helps to focus and design the effective learning experience for the student. This is the examples of the BA in Japanese language and culture. The Spanish also has a very similar outcomes, but MLO means major learning outcomes. That means that with BA in Japanese language and culture, what kind of skills and knowledge should they have when they graduate, and can they be actively participate in this global society? So for that, what kind of skills and knowledge they need? Well, because it's a language program, of course, they have to have proficiency, be able to communicate effectively. And the other one is that, of course, they have to have the linguistic knowledge, knowing about the knowledge, and the Japanese culture. And then we also think that it's probably good to require one other culture other than Japanese, so they can compare and contrast and appreciate their own cultures and also target culture as well. And then research and technology, and then MLO5 is a cultural internalization and a language immersion. Actually, this one we really struggled, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. So, each MLO has a specific outcome like this. This is just a sample, and this is the communication part. Students are able to communicate effectively in Japanese in 3 modes: interpersonal, interpretive, and presentational. It's like a national standards, world readiness standards, and in a culturally appropriate manner in a variety of social and professional settings and circumstances at the intermediate high level of language proficiency according to the Act 4 guidelines. This is for the Japanese. For Spanish, it's advanced low levels. That's the minimum proficiency we require for them to graduate. In other words, that's pretty high for Japanese. And that's, so we have to help how to build this proficiency throughout the curriculum. And that's not easy. And then the second component is the student gain competency in the Japanese language, including phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and discourse. Compare and analyze structural differences between Japanese and English. This is the linguistic component. Yeah. Okay, because these are actually came from the CSET in the program guidelines. In order to become teachers, they have to have these components. So that's why we are including all of those things. Okay, the culture. Culture also has this one national standards portion of a culture, cultural practice and products and perspective. And then this portion is the compare. Okay, students develop analytical and critical thinking in areas such as how Japan's cultural background influences modern Japanese life, how to compare their own culture with the Japanese culture, or how Japanese culture relates to other world cultures in age of global interrelatedness. Now, I did a research with the president of Japanese companies in America. I think we interviewed several presidents and executive directors, and also I interviewed the government officials. And what I learned is that they expect to have relatively higher levels of language proficiency in a way. So in other words, intermediate high is a kind of minimal. They expect that being in Japanese, they think they can speak really fluently. So we have to educate them. But the important thing what we learn is that they really expect to have cultural knowledge, cultural sensitivity, into a cultural competency, so that maybe they may not able to use Japanese in their job market immediately. However, they may go to the maybe Mexico or Italy, and then they need their flexible mindset that they were able to acquire from this language learning. So for that, cultural component and having a critical the view and understanding is essential. So our program is really have a language proficiency and the cultural component. And we are fortunate because we are young universities. We are able to use the cultural courses offered from my department. So that is a good, but also it's not so good in a way that it's nice to have somebody from the history department or anthropology department to have expert in Asia or Japan. But from so far, we've been offering a Spanish and Japanese program, offering cultural courses from our department, which is a really good to coordinate the program. Okay, so I'm going to skip 3 and 4, and I want to focus on cultural internalization and language immersion part of it. Now, this is the outcome that we crafted. Actually, we got so excited, and the Japanese faculties and the dean was involved, and the director of the Teaching and Learning Center also wanted to craft this language. So this is a kind of it's a buy-in from all the sectors from the university. Students demonstrate that they have actively immersed themselves in authentic Japanese cultural and linguistic environment and have internalized the language and the cultural experience from which they have developed a personal understanding and new perspectives of the community. Okay? Well, this is a very wonderful outcome. But then, as an outcome institution, we have to come up with how to evaluate. So how to evaluate, we have to have some sort of evidence to evaluate, right? So we also have to have evaluation rubrics and criteria and those things. And that has been really a challenge for us. So this was the last one, actually, we have developed. Okay, so, but this one is really the key of the program. Yeah, in other words, this one really relates to the rest of the methods, because this one, it has 2 pathways. The first one is the participate in the study abroad program. The minimum is a summer program, and then the either short term, 1 semester, or just entire year. But some students, for some reason, they are not able to go to the target culture because of the health reason or family issues or financial issues. So we came up with a pathway 2, which is a community-based project, because it's important to use language and then understand the community. So there were 2 pathways, but interestingly, we were kind of, I was a little bit worried if I require this, that we may lose major students, but actually this really boosts the numbers of the major students. And the majority, 99% of the students choose to participate in the study abroad program. And even though, then the program gets bigger and bigger, and they hear about the excitement of going to Japan, they wanted all the students who were taking 101, 102, 201, lower division GE course, they also want to go to Japan by the end of the GE requirement, right? So that's a good thing, because once they go to Japan, they have enough units to declare minor, right? And if they declare minor, I said, well, then maybe how about the majors? So it really helps to increase the minors and the major students. And energy within the campus is really great because it's not just the major students going, but because it's an exchange program, many students from Japan also coming. So that, our area is the Hispanic communities, Salinas, and, it's a very Hispanic community. We cannot find Japanese, right? Now we can find Japanese students all over in campus, which is a very good thing, right? Yeah. Okay, so, study abroad really helps to accelerate language. I have to really, that's the one of the reasons that I wanted to require MLO 5, which is the going to the study abroad. The students come in, some students come in with 0 Japanese. Okay, some students come in with 2 years or 3 years of Japanese, but actually 80% of my students start with scratch. So what happened is that our major students, hopefully, they have to get to intermediate high, but we want them to, for 3 semesters, we probably can expect to get to the intermediate low if they are learning seriously, right? Because Japanese is the difficult language to learn. It takes time. But, from here to here is relatively fast to learn. You can reach that easily. But from intermediate low to intermediate high, it takes time, right? So for that, we really just go to Japan and, yeah, right. The interesting thing, however, is that the students find out that the Japanese way of learning in Japan, very, very traditional. So we do very communicative activities and whatnot. We don't focus really. We teach grammar as a concept and be able to use. However, when they are in a formal setting in Japanese universities, they are very traditional way of teaching. But then what helps is going around having fun with classmates, right? And then they use language, going out for the party or drinking or traveling, and that's where they gain the cultural knowledge and proficiency. So go and enjoy having fun. That's what I tell them. Okay, so, this also helps for the in-depth cultural knowledge, right? Going to Japan, we teach. They have to take some cultural courses. Also, we have 2 cultural courses types. Courses taught in English because they have to have some in-depth cultural knowledge, and they cannot do that with intermediate, mid-levels of proficiency. We also teach a content course, content-based Japanese instruction in a major course. So we have 2 types, courses taught in Japanese and courses taught in English. So even though they are in Japan, okay, they don't learn these kind of things. They're really in the formal classroom, but they go after going out. Okay, they actually learn this tangible and intangible and cultural practice products and perspectives, big time. Okay. Also, it helps interculturality, right? Interculturality is the dynamic process of active participation in communication guided by a knowledge and understanding of culture, according to National Council of State Supervisor of Language. And interculturality is the interaction of people from different cultural background using authentic language appropriately in a way that demonstrates knowledge and understanding of the culture, which is an essential skill to function effectively in the global society. So interculturality is really the key of the the national standards, the revised versions of national standards, which is known as World Wellness Standards. Okay, interculturality is it's a really important the concept for that. So what is interculturality? For example, this is a visualization of the interculturality. This is the novice level, and this is the higher level of proficiency. At the beginning, they learn language. They also learn culture separately. Okay, so when we, at the beginning level, they say, Ohayo gozaimasu, right? And then they're Ohayo gozaimasu, okay? And then cultural knowledge, they have to also learn how we greet. Ohayo gozaimasu, okay? Ohayo gozaimasu. That is not a good way of doing, right? we have a perfect degree that we have to maintain, okay? Okay, so this is the how to use the language appropriately. Started to overlap a little bit, but by the end of the, as they move along the proficiency, look how closely together. Okay. So because I require the study abroad experience, the first thing I have to do was to develop the infrastructure to be able to do so. So when I came to California 20 years ago, I was the first faculty to develop the exchange program, partner in Japan. And that was the only partner university within the entire campus. And now I've been doing that for maybe 5, 7, 10 years. And then we were sending the same students maybe at the time 1 at the beginning, and then 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 10, and same schools. It doesn't work. And then we have to find 30, 40, 50 students to go. So we wanted to distribute the numbers of students. So I developed, some university, they just contacted me. And then I went to each campus, and each program had a different strengths and weakness. And as you can see, in the middle of Tokyo, the students want to go to city, they go here. The students want to go to rural area, they choose this one. This didn't work very well. I think it's somehow shifted because this is 2 dots is in a Kyushu area. So these are the list of the universities for now. It's very, very active. Not only we do the body swap exchange program, students pay for home tuitions, and then the incoming students also, they pay their home tuitions, and we do that. But we also have the short-term program from Japan to learn English, basically. So we have constantly, I don't know, many Japanese students started to come to campus. That is a good thing. Okay, so in order to, when I was dealing with 5 students, I could meet individually with a student. But if I started to have to deal with 30 students, 40 students, I don't have time for that, right? And so in order to provide a structured guidance before they go to Japan, I created a 2-unit course. And for outgoing students, it's a spring semester because they're going, the end of August or early September. So it's good to have right before the semester they go to Japan. And for incoming students, I started to offer as an experiment separately in fall. We used to offer same in the spring semester, but it really did not work for incoming students because they really need to be guided how to be functioned in the American academic lifestyles. And so they needed really the guidance for that. So we separated. Okay, so it's this is the big thing. Prepare mindset. Okay, prepare mindset. and provide tools to maximize their experience during their stay in Japan. Now, I can tell after they leave to Japan for 1 year, and when they come back, they really change, right? I can see not just a language proficiency, but they somehow grow up, right? They take their responsibilities. So, but they don't know. They can't tell. The only thing they can tell is that they had a good time or they had a bad time. So how can we help them to, prepare their mindset and then also ways to document their experience? Okay, after they come back, it's also important for them to reflect their experience. Because if they just go and they're coming back and then just go to the senior program and graduate, I think we can do better than that. So that's why I prepare this one. And the interesting thing is that this course and this experience is a part of e-portfolio that our major needs to develop. Okay, so they have a reason to document as well. Okay, so and then reverse culture shock after students return. They have they have a really great time. The moment they come back to our campus, they wanted to go back to Japan. So they wanted to find a way to go back to Japan. And then a month later, they started to really have a reverse culture shock. So we have to also deal with that too. So assessment guiding principle number 1 is what is valued is measured and what is measured is valued, right? So in the study abroad program, what is valued is students' awareness of their growth during the program. But how can they document their learning experience without too much interference? If we require this and that and all of those things, they can't really enjoy their life in Japan. Okay? So we need to come up with some simple that anybody can do very easily. So when I was thinking about it, I was I received the email, and then there was a Facebook there from students. And I was looking at the students' Facebook, and then, boy, they were having great time, right? They were having parties with beers and sakes, and, I can tell they're having a good time. There was no pictures, pretty much there was no picture that they were studying. So I thought, this is very interesting. That may be one way. They're taking pictures anyway, so why don't we use that? Okay, that's the motive of this one. So, what is the direct evidence of students' learning? Okay, so since they take pictures, well, let's use that pictures. Okay, the image they capture seems to be good direct evidence of students' learning. Okay, then they are taking pictures whatever they want to take, right? So how about if I give them a theoretical model that they can use? So can they organize better? Okay, does it help them to reflect their experience critically? So what I did was, at the same time, when I was looking what kind of theoretical model I can use, easy one. And then I encountered this Lescant model. It was developed by Dr. David Victor, and he was the professor of management, the director of international business program at Eastern Michigan University. And he had a less count model. It each represent, I will talk a little bit more later, but each represent the category. And then I also attended Dr. Orlando Kelm's less count project, which was presented at ACT4, and it was the very well thought kind of model. Well, they had money. I was at the UT Austin, so I know that. A CSUMB with the little schools, I don't have any money. But once I wanted to do something, I will do it. But first thing I usually do is I usually ask my tech director, Gus. Many of you probably know Gus. I always talk to Gus. Gus, this is what I want. Okay? So I'm going to tell, this is what I want. Gus, can you figure out how to do it? Well, he always asks, what's the budget? And then I smile. Then he knows what I mean. Okay, this count means language, environment, social organization, context, authority, nonverbal, and time. Okay, so we will do a little bit of exercise. This is the picture that the traveler was talking about. One of the students who just arrived in Japan uploaded this picture with the descriptions. But looking at this picture, what kind of category or label do you think the student used for this one? Environment, why? Recycled bottles? Okay. Anybody else?
Nonverbal.
Nonverbal, why?
Because it reflects what is going on there and what is used in that particular country as compared to maybe here, the student might put up a Coke bottle.
She's a very critical reflection person here. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. The student who just got there encountered this one. So this is the student just put this one language. This is when he just arrived in Japan. So that's what he saw. You can see he found three. Well, there were several languages, right? There was the Japanese, and this was the English, and what's this? Huh? The spell check even happen, language barriers happen, but I always find it interesting when it is on printed material that gets sold everywhere. It's funny how when the Japan tries to look cool with English on items, but miss by just a bit. Okay, so you can see a lot of kind of English print on T-shirts which is misspelled or totally wrong. Okay, so this is the definition of the language. Okay, so we kind of exercise these kind of definition. How about this one? This one is the in Hiroshima. It's a Memorial Peace Park. Okay, the students wrote, although it may seem like a strange place to put this picture, I think that social organization is a good place. A social organization is basically any group who believes in the same thing. Hiroshima Peace Park always has a collection of people who believe in peace. This picture has part of the bomb and also the Genbaku Dome. This is the Genbaku Dome in it, along with the flowers from different people who all feel similarly. And then this student put a social organization. So it's not just go, and then, it's interesting and leave. There was some feeling. They started to think about it. Okay? This is the definition of social organization. It's a short version. Okay. Do you see this? Now, some other students may come up with a different label. That's okay. It's just a tool to think critically. Okay. This one is at probably a place to eat and what's going on here. Okay? So the students put authority. This category deals with the role of authority figures and how power and decision making is accomplished. Authority also looks at leadership style and the relationship between versus their subordinates. Interesting observation. And in addition, there is a context. There were low context and high context. Okay? And then also the environment, nonverbal. Sometimes when we do a practice, students just take a picture of a sky, and this is the environment. And I said, why did you take this picture? And then it's the dot. Okay, and time. Okay, and this time is very interesting. Some students take a picture like this. This really shows the Japanese culture. Okay, nap time. This was taken on the train ride back from the Mount Takao. The train ride was about 2 hours, and many people could be found sleeping on the train. Long commutes to school or work are common, so spending over an hour on a train at a time is normal. As a result, many people in Japan will sleep in order to pass the time. Some people also use this time to study or read books. You can tell it's a very safe environment because they can sleep like this. But the amazing thing is, when they place they suddenly wake up and leave. It's amazing. This is a very special picture. For us, it's just 2 people. Strange looking, not Japanese, right? And then my student, Hispanic student, okay? This is what he wrote. The monk and I. While I was going back and forth between the Odakyu line, I met a monk. He was born in Brazil, but was raised in Japan. I went through some tough time for about a month due to personal reason, and this monk helped me find my way. I was raised Catholic, and I associate a priest with Christianity. So when I first started talking to the monk, it was weird getting past what I would call a religious barrier. We got a chance to get to know each other in a few minutes. We talked while I was visiting Machida, getting ready to head out to Shinjuku. Even though it was always busy around the station for those brief moments while we spoke, this picture captured how we were at peace. This picture captures the moment when I had a wisdom dropped on me by a monk. I will not forget him, and I'm grateful for the help he gave me. I definitely learned that monks have a personality and can actually be funny. So there are lots of things going on with the simple pictures. But this is really students started to think and reflect their life in Japan. And then this is a very nice example of it. Okay, so what is humanities? Ohio Humanities Council said humanities are the stories, the ideas, and the words that help us make sense of our lives and our world. The humanities introduce us to people we have never met, past places we have never visited, and ideas that may have never crossed our minds. By showing how others have lived and thought about life, the humanities help us decide what is important in our own lives and what we can do to make them better. By connecting us with other people, they point the way to answer about is right or wrong, or what is true to our heritage and our history. The humanities help us address the changes we face together in our families, our communities, and as a nation. So this actually fits this story. Okay, and so the picture really illustrates the definition of the humanities and a critical reflection to connect the Lescant term. Lescant term is, in order to be able to reflect like this, it takes time and practice. Okay, so that's why we use the classroom time to use their critical eyes to take a picture before they go to Japan. They spent several actually they spent the entire semester from beginning, the middle, and end. And they started to develop the critical eyes before they go to Japan. Okay, so, and don't you think images is very powerful? Images really helps to reinforce their memory over the event. So each time he see this picture, probably emotion that he experienced coming back to him. And that's very important. Okay, so we mentioned that the project had no budget, but Gus is wonderful, and he found Furiku. I told him that what I want is that I want to be able to sort by categories and campus data students, this kind of topic, and then be able to be access to be anywhere, anytime, and very easy that anybody can use. Okay, and then we looked into all of these things. Actually, Gus did, and then I kind of said, pretty cool. It works. Okay, it's free. Okay, so this is very important. If something doesn't work, they don't use it. So it has to be very simple, and cost is great. Okay, so how it works is that the students will upload with tags, just email, okay, with those tags, okay. So, for example, this is kind of the way it looks, okay. Once they get used to it, okay, they can very easily. I can't type very well. My fat fingers can't really do that, but the student can do a very amazing thing. The other thing is what the students do. They take pictures, and then once a month they sit down and they use this one and upload at once, which is fine. Because within a month, they still remembered why they took the pictures. Okay. All right. So this is how it looks. This is the pictures, and there's a tag so I can see. And then we can search using her ID or just a category. It's very easy to search. So we have about 2,300 pictures so far. Okay, and we are using this one for the orientation too. The student who went to Okayama University, for example, they can learn what kind of environment they are going, right? So it's very useful. Also, we are using this in the language classroom and the cultural courses because it's freckled under my name, under the departmental name, so that we own the pictures. Rather than that was a very interesting decision. Rather than asking each individual students to open the account, I opened the account for everyone to be able to upload. So I have entire pictures. And then, the pictures I take is very different from what the students take. It's eye-opening. So it's a very good teaching, the reality from the students' lens. And as Trevor mentioned, that it's all over on the kiosk. So they see that, I want to go to Japan. So it's a very good advertisement piece too. Okay. We also do the blog. Okay. The student this is the first I made a really bad mistake that I came up with the prompts. And I gave them, this is what you need to respond. Once a month. I don't want to interfere with your life, just once a month. But it didn't work very well, the content. I can tell they were writing because they have to write. So what I did was I asked the students to come up with a prompt, using that maximizing classroom time. They do really good job. Okay, so what we did, arrival time, what kind of things they want to document, what kind of thing 1 month later, during or end of the program, and after the program. and they came up with these kind of things. And it's on the web page, access from anywhere, so they can refer to any time. So this is the arrival, middle, and then end of the program. And at the end of the program, they start to think about what to write, pull things together in the graduation portfolio. And they can also link the pictures, the less count pictures into their journal. So it's very, very productive. Now, I have to remind them, though, however. They're having good time. So once a month, I have to just send a nice reminder one. Now, I mentioned that this project is a part of the graduation portfolio, right? Or we call the major e-portfolio. And this is how it looks like. And this was students. Students are introduced this the e-portfolio when they declare major, in other words, the junior year. Now we have the major pro seminar, which is 2-unit course, and we orient them, and we introduce how to organize e-portfolio. And this is there were 2 phases. The first phase is only semester 2, okay? The second term is the right before the final semester before they graduate. Okay, so first phase, they only work on this portion. Okay, so each semester they take course, right? Maybe they take 4 to 5 courses. This student took 4 courses. Okay, and then each course, remember that there was a major learning outcomes. Okay, they have to know that in order to achieve, for example, culture course, they were taking 4 or 5 or 6 courses. Now, if they were taking, you passed A, so you are done. Next course, so you have to meet just 6 courses to finish MLO. It doesn't work, right? They have to know how those courses are integrated each other, and then be able to meet the major learning outcomes. So they need to think about it. So what we do is each instructor take time at the beginning and the end of the semester how this course relate to major learning outcome, and have them think about it. They just have to come up with, this is just a very, very simple guidelines. They just have to write 250 to 450 words. Some students want to write long one. I don't want to read. The short letters is the most difficult one to write. So we ask them to just, put things together using this one. For example, how does this course to contribute to your fulfillment of the MLO? What work, accomplishment, what you did for a course, okay? And evidence. We ask them to select evidence, okay? It can be a good one that the student can be proud of. It can be a bad one, but depending on how to reflect, okay? Aha moment. What understanding of knowledge did you gain from this code? That is a significant contribution outcome for your major learning outcomes. And then what area do you wish to develop further, having a goal for the next semester? And then next step, how do you intend to further explore this learning experience? Maybe I want to take this course, or I may want to do this one. Okay, there were a number of ways to explore. But that the students have to decide. We can't tell. We cannot tell them that. But giving them a chance to think about this, make it very useful learning experience or degree program. And that's what we do that every semester. And so we need to have a buy-in from all the faculties. And then the Japanese and Spanish major faculties are participating in this project. And they actually really enjoy doing it. Okay? So after they finish this part, the last senior semester, they put together, of course, we are doing capstone, so they will put the capstone project here, MLO. So this is the time they put all together all the courses they learned for the MLO 1, for example. This one, he put MLO 5 in here. But in each one, they have integrative narrative for each MLO. And then integrative narrative is that they combined all 5 MLOs, what was meant to be for them. Okay? They really want to connect with this cultural component because it relates to all of these. Okay? And then this home page is just a kind of welcome to the page. So this is the e-portfolio things that they have to complete. And we have the separate evaluation criteria for e-portfolio alone. I got the innovation grant for our faculty, so everybody is evaluating. The faculty is evaluating. But this one is the MLO 5's criteria and evaluation. It's a maximizing study abroad experience, and we adapted from ASC and user value rubrics. And for the intercultural knowledge and competence and integrative learning. I worked closely with the director of Teaching and Learning Center, and she suggested, and we talked about it, and the faculty talked about it, and we ended up with this rubrics. And there was a capstone 4, there was another category, but I put the highest end just to show for today. So there were skills, empathy, and verbal and nonverbal communication, and then attitude, curiosity, and then also openness, flexibility, and then reflection and self-assessment. So this is the criteria we use to evaluate the journals, the blog, and then also the frequency project. Okay, now that frequency project and the blog is the part of the e-portfolio, right? Why e-portfolio? That's very important. It has like this one is for faculty's benefit. This one is for the students' benefit. Now, document develop of students' skills and knowledge over a period of time. We are able to monitor how students are doing. And we are able to adjust the curriculum or schedules based on that. Now, for the student can also document development of students' skills and knowledge over a period of time. They will have time to self-assessment, reflection, monitor their own growth. And they receive feedback from faculty and end of each semester. Okay? How are they doing, and what's the challenge, maybe what you can do. It's a nice way to interact with faculty and students. There's also an assessment portion. We were able to review the effectiveness of MLO. Do we need to revise the outcomes of MLO? Okay? We look at evidence, and then we revise. Okay? It's also very good for program review. We need evidence. So used for program systematic assessment and program improvement plan. Okay, for students, okay, document skills and knowledge and set future goals and conduct end of semester and final semester. We can use for showcase of our program, okay, and then students can also use for getting a job. They are very proud of it. And they also share with the parents, friends, and it's a very good experience. Now, that's what I say, but how about the students? Okay, so we did a survey, and I also asked the students to come up with a survey questions. Well, they come up with very tough questions. I have enjoyed creating my e-portfolio. I said, oh my God, this is a tough question. I'm sure nobody will say yes, right? So I expected about 20, 30% because they thought they have to do. That's why they are doing. But I was pretty, happy to see that this much people are pretty happy with it. That's pretty good. Building the e-portfolio has encouraged me to think critically about my academic performance. This person. The e-portfolio building process has encouraged me to think about the knowledge, skills, and abilities I have acquired in my major and how I can apply them professionally in the future. That's pretty good. The e-portfolio building process has helped me become more aware of my strengths and weakness in my target language. Okay, that's the process. The e-portfolio building process has encouraged me to think about the student learning goals and outcome of my major in the school world language and cultures. So there are always these people here. I bet they are the same people. Creating my e-portfolio was not easy, but still worthwhile experience. Now, it's get pretty big. They don't want to say good experience, but they think it's worthwhile doing it. So that's a good thing, and we are pretty happy with that. And there were lots of comments that we received. There's a benefit of the e-portfolio, being able to gather all my work that I have done at CSMB and organize in my term and class to help me remember at the things I have learned and teach in the class. Okay, that's good. I like that. As a showcase of achievement and experience, organizing everything in one place and knowing the strengths and the weakness. That's good. Academic reflection. It forces you to reflect on what you have learned. See the forces. It is a project about me, as opposed to follow the other assignments in college, which are about something else.
Or someone else.
So, but they think it's very personally. It's my thing. It's my learning. They started to take responsibility for their own learning rather than they are forced. That's good, right? Having the opportunity of seeing what knowledge I have achieved. They have a time to reflect and think about, wow, I have learned this much. And then the interesting thing is that at the end of the program, I asked them to do a peer review. And then their classmates, we have a pair activities, and then the partner recognized, oh my God, you were so, not stupid, but not so good, right? But I am so proud of you, and I'm so impressed, and I even respect you over this accomplishment. And that's nice to hear, because you don't know the growth, but then somebody else can also recognize that, and that will give this opportunity. So there were another elements, but the reflections is really how to prepare mindset. That's very important. How to help them to think critically and reflect their own thoughts. What we learned was it takes practice. Reflection is not easy. Reflection is not easy. There needs to be thought and practice, and then we have to be patient. We are so fortunate to have advanced technology, which makes it easy doing this process if we connect those tools effectively. But if we do not connect pedagogy or theoretical models, it actually interferes with the learning. So, Stanford Humanities Centers said the humanities can be described as a study of how people process and document the human experience. This is what the project does. By drawing connection between the domain of the work of the humanities, yet harnessing the capacity of the digital age to extend and research audiences and connect between the written and the visual. I'm talking specifically about the Furiku's project. With the current technology, students can easily document and analyze their experience, but the key is to provide the framework and encouragement, human side. And another concept that I value in this work is the connection between the classroom, the international experience, and the return to the classroom. The cycle is indeed make the project complete and valuable. In the course, I also introduce, using this book, there was a language learning strategies inventories and cultural study, cultural learning inventories, batteries. And there was several, actually lots of worksheets for the cultural adjustment. So we also use that in the course too. Okay. So do you think the students will be ready to have a good experience? I hope so. Thank you. They have to. They don't have to pay for. They are actually studying Japanese in Japanese campus because they are paying tuition at home city. Yeah, so that's why they are interested in. Yeah, and then sometimes they receive the full scholarships, Japanese government scholarships or other scholarships. Yeah, yeah. So they want to go. Yeah.